Today is day 11 of the Karen Read trial. I'm going to give you my daily recap. I'm in the same outfit that I was earlier because I filmed day 10 this morning, so don't be alarmed. Today we had two witnesses on the stand. We started off the morning with Connor Keefe. He is a trooper for Mass State Police from the District Attorney's Office, and he is one of the people that I would say is maybe newer to the role, that works with Yuri Buchanan, Trooper Proctor, and those names are brought up quite a bit in the questioning. He's actually the person who did the extraction from Jen McCabe's phone. I'll put all my clean laundry out of the shot right now. I have to go put all that away. Can't hide it, I guess, but whatever. He arrived on scene at 5:30 p.m. on January 29th, and he was there to help bag up some of the evidence that they were finding during the search. He opens up a few evidence bags today to show the evidence inside that has been talked about. He opened the sneaker that was recovered on scene. There has been a lot of controversy over this sneaker. Going back to the last trial, people have said that the shoe that was recovered, this one, looks different than the shoe that John O'Keefe was actually wearing that night and was photographed from the medical examiner. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but you totally can. Here's a better angle of it. Some people say that in the picture it looks like it has a black sole. This one that they pull out of the evidence bag looks like a brand new sneaker with a white sole. He also helped bag some other evidence that was the red taillight pieces. When he opens the evidence bag, he holds up two pieces of the taillight. I'll show you. These are the two pieces of the taillight. And then Brennan says, oh, is there another piece of taillight in there? So apparently two of these pieces here had stickers on them, and then there's a smaller piece that didn't have a sticker or anything. The judge said, we need to log this. So they put it in an envelope and they marked it for identification. But I've always wondered, I can't remember what they did last trial, but did they reassemble like a puzzle her whole taillight? I can't remember if that happened. We get into the cross-exam by Yannetti. He is explaining that on February 2nd at 12:08 p.m., he is the one who did Jen McCabe's extraction from her phone. And there's some questioning about who is the lead investigator. Sometimes a lot of the other troopers or police officers have been hesitant to say that it's Michael Proctor. They say oh, it's a team effort, or there's two of them, but he comes out and says that Trooper Proctor was the lead investigator. He says that he's worked with him before. And then there's some questioning about him interviewing Sarah Levinson, which doesn't really come out all the way, but there is a report after Sarah Levinson is interviewed in October of 2022. The report is written by Trooper Proctor, and it says that Connor Keefe accompanied him to that interview, but he didn't remember that he went to the interview. So was that just made up? We don't really know. He also assisted Yuri Buchanan on getting the video surveillance from CF McCarthy's. He did not analyze the video. Proctor analyzed it and wrote the report. He just went there to retrieve it. He also was the trooper that attended the autopsy, which is weird that the lead investigator wouldn't go to the medical examiner's office for the autopsy, but it was done by Dr. Scorty Bello in Sandwich, Massachusetts, and he was the one who went. And that's really all that we have for his questioning. The next witness is Jessica Hyde, and she is a forensic data analyst who specializes in phones. And she was asked to analyze Jen McCabe's phone during a certain date range to look at the deletion of the Safari searches and the phone calls. Her questioning by Hank Brennan was very thorough. It was very scientific. I thought it was very boring. So you know that I kind of skipped through a little bit of it and read up on some of the recaps, but I have heard her testify before in the previous trial, so I knew what she was going to say. So she actually never sees the device. She just gets the extraction. She can only tell if the extraction is authentic. She can't tell if the device has been manipulated. She starts off by saying at 2:27, Jen McCabe was searching the Hamatalk sports search. And then How Long to Die in the Cold comes up as a search because it's the most current search that was done in that browser window. But she does eventually get to saying that it was done at 6:23 a.m. She has all kinds of Celebrate and Axiom training, I think is the other software that they use. And she says that the search was made at 6:23 a.m. and it was used in the tab that the browser was last used. I'm still just so confused by this. Like, I will never understand this at all. People can tell me that it was done at 6:23, but I just don't understand how, if I search something at a certain time, why it just doesn't come up at that time, why it has to matter with the browser being open or when it was last used. She's asked if she comes to a conclusion that it was a deleted search, and she says it was not. And we had some really interesting questioning. So essentially, it was on the report, and it had come out that some of the phone calls were deleted from Jen McCabe's phone, when in fact the iPhone can only hold 200 phone calls in your recents tab in your phone. And she had actually made 200 phone calls between January 29th at 8:59 a.m. and then when the phone was imaged on February 2nd. So every time she called another phone number, that first one was bumped off of that recents list because it can only hold the 200. So essentially, why was she calling 200 people in 3 days? I feel like this looks really good for the defense because who is she calling? She's calling all of these people to get the story straight, the timeline straight, to organize everything. Just like when the FBI showed up and she called 5 people in 10 minutes, but she said that she had only called 2. They go to lunch, and then after they come back, the judge comes out in a totally different manner, and she issues an apology to Alessi based on some comments that she has made. She said the most important thing is for the defendant to get a fair trial, to ignore any of the commenting. And Alessi had asked for a sidebar earlier in the day, and she sighed and said that this was his last one or something to that effect, which she shouldn't have done. Now Alessi is doing the cross-examination, and it's 2 nerds going back and forth, very scientific. They start talking about John O'Keefe's phone. In her report, she says that the last user interaction with the phone was at 12:20 50 seconds a.m. 12:20 a.m. Then he pulls up Mr. Whiffin's report, and there is a lock button activated at 12:32 a.m. So there's a 12-minute discrepancy. She says she cannot speak to an artifact that she has not reviewed. So this 12:20 number is kind of sticking out, but this is Ian Whiffin's report, and you can see right here at 12:32:09, device locked with the lock button for the last time. And a user would have had to actually do that with their hand. Now we're getting some questioning about Jen McCabe's phone at 5:07 a.m. on the 29th. There's a call to Coco, which is Nicole Albert, who lives at 34 Fairview. And for some reason, there's no duration listed for this call, which is suspicious, obviously. Was this deleted? She says that this is explainable, but he doesn't let her explain it, and he says that can be done on redirect. It actually doesn't ever really get explained, though. One thing that's been really hard for me to understand, and I do understand it, but it would just be so nice. It would be like talking to God almost, to be like, God, what happened? Please tell us the truth. But the Apple source code, this is proprietary information owned by Apple. So Apple can't just come out and say, hey, the Google search was done at 2:27, because then they would have to give up their proprietary information to explain why it was done. I just wish that we could know, was it done at 6:23 or 2:27? We learned that a Faraday bag was not used on John O'Keefe's phone, so there is movement and everything after his phone is discovered, all the way up until about 12 p.m., which is when she started her data analysis. It's also questioned that Celebrate removed the timestamp on the Google search as of December 2024. They talked about that with Ian Whiffin. And she's basically done. Brennan plays another ID documentary clip. The one, it's very short. It says, it's actually Karen in the interview saying, it's me or Jen. I'm going down Jen or you are. Like, I brought that up in another video, but that's all for day 11.